Hi everyone, James Lees, Head of Client Service at Salesfire, also the brand new host for the TrendDesk podcast. Now, on the TrendDesk podcast, we like to talk about the latest news and features in e-commerce, but also predictions, stats, opinions are vitally important. Sometimes we get it right, more often than not, but every now and then, probably not me, we get it wrong. We want you to tell us if we got it wrong. If you don't agree with something that we say, get in touch. Let us know. We want to know about that. But also, we want to hear from you guys in regards to your predictions. What's happening? What do you think is going to happen in e-commerce over the next month, 3 months, 12 months, whatever you think. Something that you think is going to be massive in this industry, we want to know. Whether it's industry specific within a certain retail sector or anything you find is relevant, what we can discuss, we want in here. But you know what? There is a caveat with this. If you are wrong, we're allowed to pull you up on it, and we will feature it on this podcast. And we might make you look a little bit silly. But you know what? In the same breath, if we say something we're wrong, feel free to make us look silly, and we will mention it on our podcast episodes as well. So get in touch. Follow us on LinkedIn, Twitter, Carrier Pigeon, Bebo, MySpace, anything you think's relevant. Get in touch. We want to hear from you. Get your opinions in, and we'll have a bit of fun along the way. Cheers. Thank you. Hello everyone, welcome to the latest edition of the TrendDesk podcast. I'm going to be your host today, Mr. James Lees, so I hope you enjoy the content I'm going to shot your way. We're usually bombarded with guests aplenty on this podcast, but today, to be honest, you can count yourself lucky because you're not bombarded with loads of other people giving you content. You've got the two best people with myself and Head of Marketing at Salesfire, Mr. Josh McGregor. Josh McGregor, say hello to everyone.
Hello everyone, how are you doing?
There we go. So as I mentioned, my name is James Lees. I'm Head of Client Service here at Salesfire. We're going to go through the latest updates, trends and things when it comes to the world of e-commerce, and hopefully enjoy this content. And again, any feedback you got, any questions on what we're saying here as well, we'd love to hear your feedback on that one. But it's been quite an eventful few weeks, first start of 2021 when it comes to e-com. Probably no bigger news, Josh, when it comes to the buyout of Debenhams from Boohoo.
Yes, so, I mean, I think a few people might have had a bit of an idea this was coming. I think it was news to me, but there was a couple of people I spoke to where they said they saw this on the horizon. Yeah, so Boohoo has bought out the entire Debenhams brand at one point, and then it's also gone on to, I think it's looking to buy a couple of others, isn't it, as well, after ASOS have made a move as well, but I suppose we'll go on the ASOS one separate.
Yeah, I think it's like the online kind of taking over the retail. I think there's a few points for us to talk about on other kind of like retail high street outlets on this one. Yeah. I think the interesting thing for me, so it's obviously basically Boohoo went 55 mil buying Debenhams and its website. It's an expensive website, that'd be fair, like, innit? Yeah. Imagine the cost of re-platforming that one. Jesus. But
you haven't bought any of the premises of that, have they?
Nah, 118 stores are going to be empty. And we can speak for Middlesbrough as an example of where we're at now. Is like Debenhams is one of the biggest store, if not the biggest store in the town centre. Yeah, 100%. And that's opposite what is a soon-to-be empty House of Fraser. Mm-hmm. I mean, it doesn't look good for them, does it?
No, not at all.
Them kinds of like high streets. It'll a big empty store. Do you think something like that will be snapped up, or do we care ultimately?
I mean, there's two sides to this, isn't it? With us being an e-com, obviously it's a great boost for us, but then you've got to think there's always going to be someone's got to lose out. It's like playing stocks or something. Someone has to be hurting from this. But I mean, personally speaking, obviously where we're based in Teesside, a lot of that square footage of the town centre is going to be redundant, essentially. Yeah. I don't know of any other sort of anything that's thriving enough to fill it up.
No, it's. I mean, to be fair, this is a sidestep. I was on a call with Middlesbrough Council last week, actually, just in regards to what's happening for local business and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Middlesbrough are trying to change things in regards to going more of a leisure kind of centre rather than a shopping district, which I think is a good move, and I think a lot of cities have that already. But yeah, so maybe that's the saving grace for town centres, because let's be honest, like, I don't know, if you want to go to Marks and Spencer's, you're going to the retail parks, aren't you, or online. You want to go to H&M, places like that, you're going to the retail parks, aren't you?
It's the only move, essentially. I can't think of anything else that you could possibly do that would provide that square footage again. That you could actually have people coming in and doing. Yeah, it's not even central to Middlesbrough. That I've seen some images on Twitter and things getting passed around. I think it was in Nottingham. Mm-hmm. The Debenhams store there was absolutely huge, like bigger than our office block and a couple more down the way. So I don't think I don't think it's necessarily a problem that's going to be specific to the smaller towns like ourselves.
No. Anywhere as a Debenhams, and we'll go on to the Arcadia group as well in a bit. Like, it's going to leave a big gap in the high street, isn't it?
Well, they're like landmarks, aren't they? Debenhams stores, they're massive. The one in Newcastle as well is huge.
Yeah, it is
huge.
I mean, 12,000 jobs alone within the Debenhams, the Debenhams ecosystem there that are going. But again, on the flip side, with us talking to ecom and so our audience being more ecom focused as well, pulling back into TrendDesk, I mean, we'll pull it up on screen here, but January was 124% up in terms of fashion across when we're doing it year on year from 2020. Obviously, lockdown hadn't started back then, so people were still going out. And for us to see, so what happened during the first lockdown, we saw a big dip in fashion. Some of the athleisure wear stuff was good, but at first fashion didn't really hold its own when everyone was sort of worried where the next paycheck was going to come from, whether they were being furloughed, that type of thing. So Jan was essentially was a busy period for to see that up so much it's pretty telling of where we are with things as well. It's almost like that fashion space isn't going to be something that we see on the high street much anymore. Especially moving on to say, well, when we look at ASOS buying up what is potentially the rest of those stores, especially on a high street, on a smaller high street than like one in Middlesbrough, for instance. But then again, now we're starting to see if you're buying up the top shops, you're also buying up space on Oxford Street, for instance. You're also you're starting to empty some of those buildings. I think that's where people are going to start taking some notice, really.
Yeah, it's so with this thing, we'll move on to the ASOS situation here. So are ASOS just going to buy Topshop, or they're going for the whole Arcadia group?
I think they're splitting it out, if I believe correctly. I think ASOS are buying Topshop, and I think the rest of the Arcadia group is going to be going to Boohoo as well, which sort of fits in with the Debenhams side of things, isn't it? I think they're going in for, I've got it here somewhere. I think they're going in for the Wallaces and that type of thing that are also in the Arcadia group.
Right, okay. Because that's like, if you look at them brands, like, I don't know, you look at Wallace in particular, Dorothy Perkins, there's like these other brands for like Boohoo. They don't scream Boohoo.
No.
And Debenhams as well. Debenhams, like, if you're looking at Boohoo's brand, what they're going for is like Gen Z, 18 to 25, maybe 30 at a push. Kind of key demographic of people who buy their product. Is this Boohoo trying to basically spread their wings and try and get more? Because obviously they've been on the acquisition trail for quite a while now, but basically, buying out e-com retailers, this is different for them, surely. Are they going to work on these brands? Are they going to take the Debenhams brand to be a new brand that they're really going to push under the Boohoo umbrella, or what? I mean,
yeah, I think it's easy for us, especially when you see sort of all the money that's been pumped into the market and around the little the Boohoos and sort of Misguideds and that type of thing's Pretty Little Thing. Yeah, you do often. It is easy to forget that those other demographics are being catered for by these sort of brands, just a lot quieter. Yeah, and they're obviously brands that have got audiences that have been inbuilt for a number of years. So in all honesty, you look at that, and with them buying those out, it's not exactly, on the surface, it might seem a bit out of the ordinary. When you dig into it, it's not that much of a risk, really, is it? Because these are really established names. I mean, you've got sort of like, I know family members who've been shopping at these places, and they probably will. Like Debenhams, for example, it's just a staple, isn't it? At the end of the day, it's not a huge risk when it comes to that type of thing.
It's a huge risk, mate. It's a risk to the tune of £55 million.
Yeah, but I mean,
it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money, isn't it?
Very well calculated, though. Let's be honest.
I mean, they're not just doing it on a whim. I would think, do you know what? I might buy Debenhams today.
Yeah, exactly. And how old? 243-year-old, I think, as far as brand recognition goes.
Wow.
But let's have a look at it. So I'm going to challenge you both here in regards to, okay, Keelan.
Right.
If you were going to Debenhams, what would you be buying?
It's for Debenhams. I usually go there for slightly like going out stuff. So something that's a little bit more higher end. I like suits from Debenhams as well. It's usually decent.
Hang on, you're a long-haired fella with a nose ring from Sunderland. When do you wear a suit apart from court?
Well, christenings and that.
There'll be plenty of christenings up there.
Plenty of christenings. Gotta look your best.
Fair jokes. Fair. What about you,
the Civic Centre.
Josh, what do you go to Debenhams for? If you do.
is when I'm stuck for a gift, if I'm being honest. I think that I know quite a lot of people who also do that. I think there's that side from Keelan. It's an established place. You know you're going to, if you need something in a snap, you're probably going to come out with a pair of trousers and a shirt. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if it's something you're looking for, you're not going there with something in mind. Do you know what I mean? It's got, dare I say, apart from sort of the beauty sections, which they have all the concessions, you're sort of going into a bit of a jumble sale, aren't you?
I think that's a fair point on the beauty and concession stands. I think that's a strong thing Debenhams has had over the last 10, 15 years is they have top brands available there. Is this like Boohoo trying to get into the brand game? So okay, we've got access to buying brands out. Because I know that's always been a big thing on Mike Ashley's acquisition trail, getting access to brands he couldn't get for his original retail outlets.
The other thing is you've got to think Boohoo themselves, they had quite an issue last year with the revelations about how they were treating some of their workers and things like that. So for them to still be in such a position where I think sales were up 40% in the run up to Christmas, just after the announcement of that. So I mean, people are still shopping, and people are sort of shrugging the morality of it off a little bit. So I mean, for them to take that hit and still be walking through everybody and picking these things up, I just find it hard to see how we could ever anyone's ever going to go back on the high street unless it's purely click and collect.
Well, here's a point for you. I think this goes into something that ties in quite nicely. So we spoke about it in the early pods when lockdown first hit March 2020. And I think this ties in regards to the ethics. Is how important is ethics to a customer when they're buying from retail? I'm going to shoehorn in Primark here. Because Primark in the past has been documentaries about how the garments are produced and things like that, and they can't be produced in the most ethically way if they're knocking out a t-shirt for £2.
Yeah.
But also your point there, Josh, you're saying, will people go on the high street still? Primark, when they were open in 2020 in Middlesbrough and probably other towns and cities up and down the country, was queues outside to get in there.
Yes.
And in regards to a marketing outlet, it's a very, very simple format. It's a very simple brand. It's a paper bag full of cheap clobber. The demand still seems to be there for that kind of retail. People still want to, like the day Primark opened, there was queues probably going half a mile out of the Hill Street Centre in Middlesbrough going around the corner. Yeah. So when you say, are people going to go to high street for these things now? Is this Primark with Boohoo and ASOS, these big online giants buying high street brands? Is this like a nudge to Primark saying, okay, we need to do something now to move online?
But it depends, doesn't it? You look at Primark. Primark's the place you go when you want something for that night, or you want something in your hand. You know you don't have to send back. You know it's going to be fine when it arrives because you're not trying it on. Remember, you're unrolling it. You're taking a look at it on the stand. You're maybe not putting it back neatly. You've got people walking around that. You know what I mean? It's a very.
You said that's like you went through a bad experience with people like not folding the t-shirts back, and you're getting really annoyed walking.
You know what it is? It's not even. I'm annoyed for the people who work there when I go in.
Yeah.
It's carnage. You see people doing like circuits of the same like 3 shelves, putting stuff back on.
It's madness inside Primark though, because every time I go in there, I feel like there's as many employees as there is customers.
Yeah,
they're just everywhere.
I can tell you, hand on heart, you will never catch me in a Primark store. Never. I just can't. I can't bring myself to it. I don't. For myself, I told the company line, I'm not a fan of the brand, not a fan of how the garments are made and things like that. So,
No, that's fair.
And I think
I'm guilty of going to it for basics, especially like white t-shirts that I go through quite quickly.
Mate, you get a pack of 7 from Next for £30.
I know it's no excuse really, but again, it's that. Why do I go in? I go in because I want them that evening, or I want them in the next couple of hours.
Yeah, I think convenience still outweighs the ethics argument. I think ethics is becoming more and more important, but it's playing catch up to the convenience.
Pounds and pence are more important than ethics to majority of this country, because let's be honest, like if you're in a position where you think I can think more ethically about buying a garment, okay, you've done all right for yourself. You've got a couple of quid where you can think about that. Let's be honest, if you need a pair of trousers and a shirt for work, and you're not getting paid that much for it, you're absolutely going to jump into Primark, you're going to get them trousers, you're going to get that shirt because you need it there and then, and that's it. But can Primark do that online? They've got the distribution networks. You can see the Primark trucks up and down, the A1, M1, M62 all the time. Is can they flip this to an online argument? Now, I remember Rich was in his devil's advocate role in this podcast in its early days, was always saying, no, they can't do it because of X, Y, and Z. But okay, they wouldn't be able to flip the switch like that last year and think, okay, we've lost so many millions of pounds of turnover now, we can't do it at this point. But they've had since March to really, really consider this.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, you look on paper, Primark have lost this much revenue this year.
Mm-hmm.
What can they do to plug that gap in case it happens for them? Surely there must have some form of management consultancy company in there now saying, okay, this is how we're going to attack online. Otherwise, or are they waiting for a Boohoo to come out and buy them? Again, that's a counter argument. Are they going to have that strong of an online arm where it's like, okay, so it's a polar opposite to what's happening with Boohoo and Mike Ashley buying out retail outlets at the moment, where, okay, they're struggling, not as strong as they once were. Primark will still be strong. Yeah. Are they waiting for a Boohoo, an ASOS, or a Mike Ashley to come along and say, I'm going to buy your brand?
Well, the thing is, as well, online. What's the cheapest you're going to get something delivered? If it's not, you're not Amazon Prime in it. What's $2.99? Say the cheapest you're going to get.
Yeah, you're looking at Hermes thing here, aren't you?
That's maybe 2 T-shirts in Primark.
Yeah.
So, and if people are going in there for volume, which is, I'm assuming, when you go in, obviously you've been injured, but you go in, people aren't buying 1 or 2 things generally. People are baskets overflowing with stuff. They're getting to the counter.
How many clothes shops do you go to and you're carrying a basket?
Well, that's a very
You don't, do you?
Yeah, I mean, it's like the treat. It's like a supermarket. Yeah, it's bulk.
When you look at volume, all of a sudden that $2.99 delivery is 2 different T-shirts. If you're paying that $2.99 delivery, are you going to bother going to Primark if you're ordering it online? Do you then go to Primark, or do you go to your Misguided? Do you go to Boohoo, where it's still relatively cheap, but it's maybe a level above? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, slightly better quality. It's got a bit more prestige about the brand when you're wearing it as well, isn't it? Like the brand's associated and stuff.
Because the thing is, you're ordering at volume, you're then posting at volume, and how is that worth the risk of them offsetting the postage for that? I don't know. And imagine if you touching back on the state of the actual stores sometimes, and how their staff are diligently going around tidying things up. Imagine the picking and packing for that volume as well.
Oh yeah, it's
crazy.
Again, it is going to be crazy. It's going to be hard, fast work. Probably not paid that much because of the margin and the average order value going up. And the average order value could be looking at 30 quid for something like that.
Yeah.
If you're looking at your Boohoo's of the world, it probably its average order value is probably over 50 quid, and that's a big thing when you're looking at average order values. And I mean, what's out? Have we got access to like average order values for like fast fashion brands, Josh, on our TrendDesk platform?
I think let me have a look. Let me go on TrendDesk. So we've got. I'd have to go a bit too deep.
Sorry, I don't have to do it now. Maybe we could put it on a post after once we've released a podcast or something. Because I think it's an interesting point to look at. It's like, like you say, I dare say Primark's average order value going through the checkout is higher than £30.
Yeah.
No, if you're buying a couple of packs of knickers, some socks, a couple of T-shirts, and a pair of trousers, what's that? 50p, 60p?
Well, looking at it here, so across clothing and accessories, total orders 300k, say, and that's a revenue of 37 million in the last month. Mm-hmm. So you probably quickly work out the average order value of that. I'll do it in the background now.
Yeah, you do it, mate. Yeah, but, I'm not the man for that. I'll just.
Hang on. We'll do a bit of podcast magic. Average order value. Flash up now.
There we are.
So that's interesting.
Make sure that works, Keelan.
Yeah. Through the magic of editing, I'll make that work.
So here's one then. We've touched on it slightly in regards to Mike Ashley. We've had a local retail legend, for want of a better phrase, I think it's probably the best way to describe it, in regards to Psych being bought out by Mike Ashley's group. Well, it was announced on New Year's Day.
Uh-huh.
Where do you sort that? For me, I track a little bit in regards to where Mike Ashley's retail group was buying things like that. For me, this looks like one of the more. I haven't seen him buy an SME out for a while. I think he was flirting around the Debenhams buyout a few years back because Sports Direct started cropping up in a few of his stores.
Yeah.
What do you think of that? Do you think Mike Ashley's going to go around the SME acquisition trail again? That's also how he bought the likes of Flannels and Van Mildet and people like that. Is this him trying to get more space away from JD Group? We've obviously bought quite a lot of SMEs over the past years as well.
It makes a lot of sense for him to. I mean, that's the only real well to go back to now. When you see the names that are getting bought up, the high street, and what is left really?
Yeah.
Even when you go down to the Peacocks and things like that.
Yeah.
What's actually left? There's not much there in regards to anything that's group owned anyway. I can't particularly think of that's independent that's that big. Obviously, being in Teesside, we get all of the group ones. There's obviously a lot more independence when you move out in the cities and things, but it would make sense for him to go around. And is he acquiring the premises as well with these?
By all accounts, yeah. By all accounts, it's like Psych as a whole, the whole business.
So he's buying the premise. He's moved. So what he's done here is he's amalgamated a lot of those companies he's bought out into one building. So it's sort of like it's sort of a type of department store, I suppose.
Let's be honest, in regards to like a fashion store and how it's merchandise and stuff like that, it's something you expect to see on Oxford Street, not on Linford Road and Millsborough. It's absolutely superb.
Yeah.
So yeah, you could say it's definitely got a department store look.
Do we get those? Do we get those department stores? Do they start coming back then? Do we have, instead of having these separate brands everywhere? Are we looking to will they start getting them amalgamated into these smaller department stores where there's like less square footage?
Yeah, one-stop shop stuff.
Well, we spoke about this last year actually on one of the earlier pods again in regards to do these retail stores who have a huge online presence have a click and collect retail presence, but also you can get some kind of personalized shopping experience where you can go in and try a few garments on, get some advice, and they then order it into the retail store to come and collect the next day or something like that.
Yeah.
Because, like you say, if you're going to buy, let's say you're looking to buy a nice top and you've got the £200 budget for it or something like that, it's very rare, I need that top today.
Yes.
Very rare you're in that situation. So do you mind waiting or having a nice experience, go and get a glass of sake, a bottle of beer, trying a couple of jumpers, get some advice on what's coming up from someone who knows what they're talking about, and then that gets delivered in the next day.
Yeah.
So that thing's you look at one of our tools in the Salesfire suite, Product Recs. It's there to try and cross-sell and upsell more products, and also you can use overlays for all that carry on visually similar search we'll touch on later. Mm-hmm. Is that retail's kind of shooing for that? Because that used to be a big thing back in the day when you went to a Debenhams, you went to a House of Fraser, you would get a personal shopping experience. Yeah, and it's still big in America. The world of customer service is that the way retail brands survive? Smaller outlets, as Josh mentioned, smaller square footage, but tying in that online distribution network for it.
I think we've touched on this. I think you're right, because I think the thing we've always tried to develop with our products is what's the difference between shopping online and shopping in store? It's experiential, isn't it? You're probably having a coffee at some point. You may be going for, I don't know, if it's Christmas, you're going for a pint or something, you're going for some food.
Yeah, it's part of a day out. It's part of a bigger thing.
So you're still going to want that. But I tell you what is going to be difficult to tackle, the actual upsell. So you got to think all of the sort of stuff people have got at EPOS, they've got on the way in when you're queuing. Specifically, you look at Primark, it's so random. How do you deal with the upsell? Is it through sort of tech like ours? Mm-hmm. Not the hard push there. But how do you do that if you're going into store and you're just trying some specific stuff on and then you're not walking out with it in your hand?
Well, yeah, that's it. It's that's where that personal experience and having someone who does that for you is probably the best way to do it. Because, like you say, if you go pick up a couple of tops in H&M now, and you walk towards a till, there'll be a couple of other little kind of office stands. You've got a mannequin with a few tops on. You get to the till, there's socks, there's underwear, there's bits of jewellery, caps, accessories, things like that. We'll try and up that basket value for you that way. But yeah, maybe you have to personalise that a little bit more.
Well, the thing is, you've got to think, maybe that fact is quite high. I wonder what margin Primark have got on that stuff towards the till. Do you know what I mean?
Probably quite high. Well, you have to. If your average order value is like £1-2 per product, then your margin's got to be sky high, hasn't it?
And if they've got no confidence in the upsell, how they can replace that on site, it does make you wonder how viable that actually is as an online business.
Well, this is always Rich's argument regards the price point it's at and things like that. How viable is online for them? Never mind the distribution networks and stuff like that. But we're saying they've done nothing. The way we're talking is they've done absolutely diddly squat about it. You'd like to think it's been a huge consideration point, not just over the last 12 months, but also 5-10 years previous as well. But then again, they might be just waiting for that company to come in with that know-how to come and buy them. Yeah.
I mean, who's got that type of capital though?
Ashley and Boohoo, by the looks of it.
Do you think they've got enough about them to be going for someone like Primark?
I think Mike Ashley has.
Might be the long game. That, you know, might be he's acquiring all these other things to apply the pressure.
Yeah, you don't know if you're going to see I mean, there's obviously investment groups and things like that out there that could do it. But
Yeah,
it's not
very
as if
true.
it's going away. This is, I think it's going to come to a head in the next year or two.
Yeah,
Especially
absolutely.
seeing numbers like this coming through TrendDesk. I mean, no one expected fashion to be doing this in the first couple of months, I don't think. No,
I didn't. It like you say, it plummeted last year, didn't it, when lockdown hit? So everyone was sat in shorts drinking, weren't they?
So it's up. Let me get my stats up here. So not only is it up, it's the fact that it's the men's fashion that's tipping it over as well. That is, that's a bit surprising. Obviously, we tend to see it trend towards the female sort of side of things when it comes to the fast fashion stuff being higher.
This is Caelan buying stuff for his Zoom christenings up in Sunderland.
Yeah, exactly. Got to switch it up a little bit.
Yeah, it's an interesting one.
So we'll take a little sidestep now, sticking on the e-commerce thing. But there's also been a bit of news this recently in regards to Mr. Bezos stepping down as CEO at Amazon.
Yes.
Why do you think this is, Josh? Where do you see this moving?
I mean,
or do you think it's just absolutely nothing about it?
He's still going to have a hand in things. Like, it's still
yeah.
his vision, isn't it? But it's whether they start being a bit more aggressive with the ethics stuff, or whether they're trying to do a clean break from how they're seen at the minute, which is, let's be honest, everybody sort of seems to turn a blind eye to everything that's going on at Amazon just purely out of convenience. Let's be honest. We all use.
I don't. I haven't used them since lockdown.
You not use them at all?
No.
You're more like I do envy your sort of.
You're a better person than us.
It's you can. There's not only Amazon dropping off stuff next day, so let's be honest.
That's true, but not.
Don't mind paying extra quid on delivery.
Make sure you get what you want.
Yeah, I mean, Amazon is it's like you mentioned, the convenience thing. If you need it, they've got it. But yeah, it's rare I need something that desperately where I need to rely on Amazon.
For me, it's almost like they're potentially doing this to make a break, and they either go one or two ways. They're either going to push harder, and they're going to be in line. They need someone in there who's going to take a bit more of an aggressive stance on things, or they're going to try and spin things away, so they try and make themselves look a bit more responsible on this type of thing.
Yeah. Here's one for you then. Is this Amazon going more towards the tech and automation side of it? Because obviously, the whole Alexa platform, it's mint. Let's be honest. Google have tried to replicate with Google Home and obviously acquiring Nest and making that thing. And Apple have tried some way of doing it with Apple Home and whatever. Like, it doesn't come anywhere near the Echo and the Alexa platform, how that works.
Yeah.
Are they going to more into that? Because let's be honest, it's been huge for them, hasn't it?
It's been massive, and it depends it depends on the background of whoever's stepping in as well. Do we have any idea who's doing that yet? Have they said that?
I haven't seen anything.
It'll depend on the background, I suppose. Are we going to get someone from a retail space, or are we going to get someone from a data side of things? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting, but I mean, for e-com, it's a double-edged sword for me. It's getting more people online, it's getting more people engaged in buying things, but at the other, you've got to be able to provide something different, or you've got to provide something competitive, and you're not going to be competitive. Let's be honest.
Yeah, but it's interesting. Like
that of the world, they're always going to win because they're fostering like a niche. They've got their audience, and they're just so in tune with everything that they're doing, and how they shop, how they live. That is the only way you're going to compete with the Amazons, I think.
The lead the way though as well. Like when Tim was talking about how his dad's kind of dive into e-commerce was primarily through Amazon at first, and the features and the suite of products that they've got working on Amazon's site is he came to expect to see those features on other e-com platforms. So because they have such a large audience, they can effectively dictate the state of play, can't they? Because if they start pushing something,
that's it. That's where I say the Gymsharks. I can name. They're always the first one that come to mind. That's where the only strength they can have, that where they're going to beat that sort of cold hard convenience of that type of thing, is where people are really bought into the brand and the message and what the brand stands for and what they then stand for by wearing that badge. Do you know what I mean? By having that branding on them.
They've done a brilliant job on that, though, haven't they? Let's be honest.
Amazing
Gymshark. Superb. What a story.
Yeah, amazing story. Yeah.
And do you know what? That is actually, in my head, that's a super viable way of sort of taking some of that business from these companies as well.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, it's probably only going to be 30% of someone's overall online spend that they're going to have. But the fact that they've got that coming back, and that's going to be, that's an audience that's going to stay with them for a long time. Like the LTV on that, like the lifetime value on someone engaged with everything you're doing and believe in what you're doing.
Oh, I bet their numbers for that, Josh, are absolutely superb. Like you say, because I think when you're buying into Gymshark now, I mean, obviously I'm sat here as an 18 stone, 35-year-old man. I don't buy gym products, but no, the people who were kind of buying that product, I dare say, I'll buy a Gymshark t-shirt. Like I reckon they'll go full outfits and they'll be buying their products on an all too regular basis.
Yeah, they're buying into an ideology, aren't they?
Yeah,
and you can see that from Gymshark's marketing because they push the story of where they came from to where they are all the time, don't they?
Brewdog are exactly the same. Brewdog are the
same. But they also tend. The Brewdog seem to have a little bit of a dark side, but I've never really read into it. It's just a few sort of social posts here and there about some of how they sort of run things in the back.
I think that's a very kind of devil's advocate situation that people will always find fault with something. Let's be honest, who's 100% perfect? Things will happen on a regular basis, especially in outfits the size of Brewdog and Gymshark. There's going to be someone that might be a disgruntled member of staff somewhere. But 99% of everything they do, right, Brewdog is all about the ethics and do things right. I mean, they've even opened up, said for vaccination rollout, they spoke to government about using the Brewdog bars because obviously not open. You can use them for vaccination stations.
I'd heard about that. Yeah, using the fridges to keep things and bringing the bar and club sort of premises in as like distribution centres.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm sort of more cynical about that stuff because I've obviously PR being in my background. That type of thing, yeah. Do you know what?
Of course, James Watt announced it for a bit of PR of it, but also if you're going to do something good, it's no harm in getting something good back off it as well. He's not going to just say it quietly. He's like, don't tell anyone, but do you want to use our Brewdogs for
There's no such thing as a selfless act.
No.
All I'm going to say is I think Gymshark do it with Gymshark's more, I find it more believable.
Fair dues. Smaller outfit as well, that'll be fair.
Well, you say a small outfit. I mean, they went $1 billion last year.
Oh, fair one. Don't put that in then, Keelan. Obviously wrong, wasn't
I know where you're coming from, though. It's like you've still got probably at the very top a smaller pool of decision makers driving the ideology and like where they want to go.
You know what I mean? I'm just that's just the cynic in me, that. But yeah, we'll see how it goes.
So I want to shoehorn something in here. Okay. Which is obviously an announcement coming from Salesfire now. When we were talking about personalisation, shopping experience and stuff like that, there's a little bit of a plug in regards to our new product, Josh, Visually Similar Search. You want to give us a little rundown on that?
So Visually Similar Search is sort of our antidote to particularly large inventories on stores. So what we can do is we've created a widget essentially, which will sit on your website, and we can then choose one of your images and take a crop of it, or take the whole image and then serve up any of your products which are visually similar to that product. At the minute, you can upload your own photo. So say you've got a lifestyle shot of someone, for instance, wearing a certain bag, wearing a certain hat. You can then crop that, pick that hat out. You could pick the bag out, and then it'll serve up any of the SKUs that are in your store's inventory that visually match up to that.
Yeah.
Again, it has a number of uses, so it's great for, say, say you're on a radiator site, you've got a nut or a bolt or something like that you need to find. Upload an image, it'll show you the closest match to that. Say you're on a fashion site, you like a particular print, you've got a pair of shoes like that, you want something that's going to go with it, you can take a shot of that print as well. It's really simple in concept and in theory, but when we were testing out in the development stages of it, it's amazing how easily it's overlooked. Not everybody has a photo to hand to upload. No. You can just take something that looks like something you've seen and then take a shot of that and show that through.
I think a good tool with it, Josh, as well, is we probably go back to fashion. It seemed to be very fashion heavy this episode, but so be it. So let's say, for example, someone's scrolling through your site, and you know what? They don't really know what they want, but they know they want a t-shirt. And they'll scroll through, they see, that t-shirt looks all right. click on the product, see this button say search visually similar, click that and analyze that image and show every single t-shirt that looks visually similar to that.
Yes.
So in regards to a shopping experience for the user is brilliant, but also I'd look at this on a kind of selfish point of view for a retailer. Say, for example, I've got a flooring website, yeah?
Yeah.
And that flooring website, I sell manufacturer stock. I also sell my own stock, which I'll import or manufacture myself, okay? And let's say they find this well-known brand of flooring, they like it, okay, and then they'll come to the product and there's a big button promo saying search visually similar. It'll do that, and with that, it'll also show the like-for-like piece of flooring, which is probably your own brand flooring.
Yeah.
Which is much cheaper.
Yeah.
But you're making more margin on it as well as a retailer. So the customer wins because they're buying a product cheaper, but also you're winning because instead of making 40, 50%, you could be making 70, 80% margin on that. You want to get your own product out the door more. So that's something you kind of bring to that one as well.
Yeah, it's a cool one. I mean, to be honest, it's kind of perfect for us because all these issues we're seeing with people, well, the potential issues of things coming off the high street and coming online, these websites still aren't really geared up to replicate that experience 100%. Mm-hmm. Let's be honest. None of these even the biggest ones out there, like ASOS, for example, they're still not, they still can't provide that sort of, that more nuanced delivery of a search at all.
Yeah.
You're going through their inventory is absolutely huge. And I know they've sort of tested something like this out on the app, I think. It was only on the app. But for me, I can't see any other way that this going, to be honest. We might be early adopters of it, but we're going to see it all over, I think, at some point.
I think so.
It's a great thing in terms of what we talk about in terms of replicating that in-store experience as well, where you would have a shop assistant, you would literally be holding a shirt saying, I like this, have you got anything else a bit like this, different colors? Yep, I'll grab you these. And then they might think, oh, well, I'll think this, and this as well, they might like these. And again, it's just, it's shaving time off and getting them to down the funnel, isn't it? But also the getting, they might come across that product they didn't know they wanted as well, which it ties into the upsell as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, agreed.
And as far as the only thing you can't really do is touch the product at that point. In all honesty, I know it sounds like we're bigging it up, but these sites are going to have to replicate this in some form to not be holding people over a barrel. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because what they could do, they just buy everyone up and then don't even acknowledge it at all and just leave it for a bit because they've got the most. They've got the most share in it now, so they're not too bothered. That's where these SMEs could probably start doing some damage as well by concentrating on the user journey, by concentrating on how the person, by making sure that everything in their sort of inventory is going to be searchable that easily and that quickly.
Yeah, I think SMEs are going to find themselves in a difficult, again, just going on the fashion side of things. SMEs are going to find things more and more difficult as bigger brands start buying the more brands out. The SME ones and like Debenhams and stuff. That means more ad spends going towards these bigger brands because they're owned by bigger groups. Which means if you're looking on an auction on Google Ads, for example, or social budgets and stuff like that, it's so difficult to compete. Yeah. I mean, Google Ads is an auction the day, and if someone's got more money than you can be the best at Google Ads work in the world, you're gonna find it difficult to compete against bigger budgets. So, do you refine that budget and start working more on the traffic you're already getting?
100%.
Yeah.
And the thing is,
probably works out cheaper.
It means you're also allowing people to take an image from, I don't know, say Burberry or something like that. Maybe Burberry's not the best example because of how specific their iconic sort of pattern is. But say you're on something like Gucci, something like that, and you want to get that look, but you're not spending £1,000 on it. There's no reason you couldn't take that image, bang it into an image search, and find the closest thing to it. Find something that's more on that you're more willing to shell out for, or you can afford to shell out for. But again, it's around education as well. I think these things are going to come in, but it's going to be tough for the SMEs to put. They're going to need to put resource into educating people on how they are personalising these websites as well. I think. Yeah,
it's a good social campaign to these brands, isn't it?
I think you touched on something quite cool there as well, James, when you were saying about the. Say like the nuts and bolts stuff, like, so if it's like an industry specific thing it's getting used for, where the person searching might never have the guts or the knowledge in their head about the thing they're trying to buy. So they would feel anxious about going into a shop and doing that kind of thing if they could right now. But where they can use a tool like Visually Similar to kind of breach that anxiety of not quite being read up on a particular topic, you know, if it's something they need to sort out, but they don't know where to start.
Yeah.
This really helps educate them in terms of this is the area that you need to be in straight away.
Yeah. Yeah, great. Just on just the final point of Visually Similar. So if you do have me on LinkedIn or Twitter, I'll be posting a few updates on this product as it's released and how clients are starting to use it, and some numbers and some case studies hopefully quite soon. So
I think we are
keep an eye out for that.
I think we're going to do an internal podcast next week, James, with me, you, and our CEO, Rich, going through the development of it and how it is put together, and a bit more how we're going to roll out education pieces for our clients as well. That's another thing.
Brilliant, great shout.
And
Happy
we'll
days.
pick that up too.
Well, I think, guys, on that then, I think we've got enough. I think we've bombarded people with our expert knowledge on e-commerce, in particular fashion, this week. Is there any kind of closing statements you want to go through before we go, Josh?
I'd just like to say, get yourself signed up to TrendDesk. It's salesfire.co.uk/trend-desk. You can sign up there and you can start getting benchmarking your site against your particular industry as well. So you'll be able to see how you're performing, how some of your competitors are performing, and how you're sitting in the middle of that.
Smashing UTB.
Sign up to that. We'll get you a report out every week on your particular industry and also sort of the overall stats too.
Can't say fairer than that. Just closing statement for me. If you do have any opinions or thoughts, anything what we've mentioned today, feel free to drop in any comments. If you see this on LinkedIn or Twitter or Facebook, Bebo, MySpace, or even you've been sent it via carrier pigeon, send the message back via the pigeon. We'd love to hear your feedback. But thanks very much for joining us, and hopefully see you very, very soon. Thank you very much, and thanks to Josh and Keelan as always for your expert content. And yeah, I think it's been better just us on here, to be fair, than anyone else.
Absolute pleasure, James.
Yeah, I don't think we need Rich on these anymore. What do you think?
I'm no comment.
Right, thanks everyone. See you later.
Bye.